It's part two of our second installment of the Growing the Game series. We're welcoming Wasatch Hockey and talking about growing pond hockey in the state of Utah.
You are Locked On Mammoth, your daily podcast on the Utah Mammoth, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Locked On Mammoth. I'm veteran NHL voice Tom Callahan, joined by longtime team analyst Robin Leano, and today it is our second part. So if you missed part one, go back and listen to that first. This is part two of our second installment of the Growing the Game series, welcoming Wasatch Hockey, talking about growing pond hockey in and around the region. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. So, guys, welcome back. So, Tyrell Mortensen, Chris York, and Rico Cordova, who introduced themselves in the first episode, which is why it's important for you to go listen to that if you get a chance. And, you know, Robin, we were all talking here towards the end of part one and now into part two. But I've never played pond hockey before, but I've played, you know, ever since I was 5 years old in rinks, and I know some are cold, some are warm. But if I'm coming out to play pond hockey, one of the questions I'm going to have is, what do I bring with me in the first place?
So I always like to layer. When you first get there, it's going to be cold. Your body's going to get shocked. You're not really moving. You've been in the car for a while. You're getting out of a hot car. But it's always nice to have layers. I mean, there's some days where it's -6 or whatever, and we're out there skating. So you get it's nice to have a nice thick coat, you know, especially when we're all watching Chris shovel, since that's his job. And we're just sitting there. So yeah, so because you can always take stuff off. You can take that coat off and just have a hoodie underneath, or just have a t-shirt on, or just your jersey, whatever. You know, gloves, obviously, not just your hockey gloves, but something that's nice and warm, especially if you're not playing, so that your hands aren't just exposed, especially if they get a little bit sweaty. As far as bottoms, you know, I usually just wear a little bit thicker socks and then some sort of compression pants or something like that, and then skate pants. As far as gear, some people wear a helmet, some people wear elbow pads, shin pads, stuff like that. Some people just only gloves and a helmet with your skates, or no helmet. So it just kind of depends on what your comfort level is.
Rico, do you have anything you want to tack on to that for first timers who might want to come out?
I do. I think it is all about like playing outdoors and playing on the ice. It is kind of a shell shock environment for first time people. And I think the biggest thing is bringing stuff that you're going to feel comfortable playing in. If you're unsure, bring a helmet, bring those elbow pads, you know, bring your bottoms of your hockey pants if you'd like. We have a friend who always toe picks, likes playing his shin pads. Just whatever's going to make you feel comfortable playing the game. That's, I think, the biggest thing. I did say, you know, layer up. It's always the best. Early mornings, you know, you want to be in your coat. Once you start moving, you're shedding it off. York is a big fan of the little hand warmers and the toe warmers. Put the toe warmers in the skate, keep the feet a little warm. And I think that's the biggest thing in a chair and drink and water. You want somewhere to sit so you're not sitting on the ice, but you want to be able to enjoy the times when you get a 30-second break, if that's all you're getting.
That's interesting. I didn't think of that because there's no benches.
Yeah,
right?
There's no benches.
Bring your own chair.
We're moving locations, so everyone's just got their camp chair with all their stuff in it, and we're just like skating across with our chairs and going to a new location. So yeah. Camping chairs are great out there.
Yep.
Required equipment right there. Okay, so bring a camp chair in addition to your gear bag.
And if you don't have one, we've got a lot of people that are bringing them, and everyone's happy to share.
Yeah, maybe people with like a 4-seater camping chair.
Oh.
They do have one that's like a bench. It's like a six person like foldable camping chair. I thought about getting it at one point, but it might be overkill because I would have to carry it to and from.
Ah, yes. That's the real reason.
That's the biggest thing for gear is what you're comfortable loading in, you're also loading out.
Yeah, we have some of those. The ice fishermen use it a lot, but they have like sleds that you can kind of pull out on the ice. So we'll have those and kind of, you know, to pull all of our stuff out. You know, especially if you've got a cooler or like I said, some people bring a grill, and you've got your chair, and you've got nets, and you've got a couple extra sticks and all this stuff. So we do use those sleds sometimes as well.
Robin?
Yeah, I mean, I guess trying to think what else is. Oh yeah, I guess the other thing too when it regards to equipment, this is more of somebody who's more like more versed in playing hockey, but again, never played pond hockey. Do you have different like cuts and steel? Because I know like people like when you play indoor, everyone focuses on those like a little bit sharper kits or whatever. Like, what are you looking on those hockey on those you're on your hockey skates when you're getting out there on the pond?
I can say I'm probably the worst. I can play a game the night before in my regular hockey skates, and I'll go play pond, and I won't even sharpen them, and I can play that next night and not even it doesn't matter to me. There is sometimes you kind of look out like a lot of people like throwing rocks, and I feel like it's it's just a childhood thing. It's just ice. You want to see it break. It's just something in us we like doing. So sometimes if you are playing and you skate over a rock, you definitely joke between the group. You're like, definitely have to go to Pier Hockey or Cottonwood and get my skate sharpened after that one.
Yeah, there's some places where the ice is extra rough, so I'll like to sharpen it just because the edges do get folded in a little bit. There's some places that are more popular for people not playing hockey. There's a spot in particular that I'm thinking of where a lot of people will go out and walk on it during the day and kind of take pictures and stuff like that. And then what it does is then it refreezes, and then you've got all these footprints in the ice. And so skating over that can kind of like just, you know, eat them up a little bit quicker. So but it's usually not too bad. Like Rico said, sometimes we'll go skate in the morning and have a game that night or something like that and just be like, I'll just deal with it.
Do you have anybody who just like tries to show up and like has their bag of like multiple different skate blades? Like, I'm gonna use these.
I don't know if anyone that's done that for pond hockey. We do have a friend that we play with that has multiple sets of blades for regular games, and he sends them off to Canada to get sharpened and gets them back. And there's different radiuses, like at the toe and the heel and the middle. So there's like 4 different radiuses depending on this. So there's a whole science behind it. But as far as pond hockey, I usually keep an extra set of steel in my bag, but I don't even know if I could skate on it because I don't even remember what the radius is or if it's sharpened or not. So, but it's there just in case someone needs it, I guess.
I
That's
think
wild.
we have a few people that have almost older skates that they've kind of retired that are now their pond hockey skates.
Yep.
I have an old pair of skates which has kind of just become almost like a first timer pair of skates. If anyone wants to go out and they don't have a pair of skates but they're the same size as me, I'm like, just put my skates on, like we'll get you out there, and that's kind of always worked out.
All right, we're gonna go ahead, Robin.
I think that's the thing that I love, and you guys already mentioned it in part 1, is talking about how much more casual, and it's like it's the most traditional form, the casual form of playing hockey, and I think that's what seems to make it special.
We always kind of joke around it, especially out there on these days where we're just like, you can't believe today. It kind of almost goes back to like we laugh. It's kind of like the Sandlot. Like it really does feel like that on some of these days where you're like, at the end of Sandlot, right? When they get that fence down and they get all the baseballs, they're like, we can play forever. Like that's how it feels every time we're out there, and you just have, an endless horizon of ice in front of you. You're like, we just move around all day. Like some days it's hard to be like, do I really want to go home right now? Like,
well, also like playing hockey is great, and especially playing outdoors is great. But there's some days where I just will just like kind of go explore by myself, and Rico will be like, "Oh, someone said you're out here," and I've got videos where I'm like the complete opposite end of the lake by myself, and just kind of looking at trees or animals or weird formations that form in the ice and stuff like that. Like I love that aspect of it because it's like, I can play hockey indoors anywhere, but like going out and exploring and stuff like that, that's just something that I've always felt deeply connected to. And so sometimes if no one else wants to do it, I'll just go by myself, and then 20 minutes later, Rico will show up and be like, "Oh yeah, they said you were back here." So, but I love the exploration part of it too.
Well, I think that I do want to get into the stories because I think that's great. I want to get into some of that, some of the cool places you guys have played, some of the fun stories you've gotten out of it. Also, we're going to talk about your relationship to the Utah Mammoth as a hockey team as well. On today's Growing the Game series, welcoming Wasatch Hockey and growing pond hockey in the state of Utah. And we are back. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, so you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Are you tired of the endless scrolling? I know I am. Game Time has a thing called Zone Deals, and Zone Deals pick the best seats in the section you want for you. You know what it's going to look like sitting there because the app shows you the panoramic seat view. There are no surprises. You know right what you're getting. And with Game Time, my favorite thing, the price you see, is the price you pay. There are no hidden fees. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Tom Callahan, Robin Leano, thanks for making us your first listen each and every single day when it comes to the Utah Mammoth hockey team. And we've got Chris York back with us here, Rico Cordova, and Tyrell Mortensen. We're talking about pond hockey. Guys, you're back just in time. So, Chris, we're going to lead with you while we've got you. We're going to talk some story time here. So we're going to ask, maybe your favorite experience, your funniest experience, just the joy of playing pond hockey. What hits you about that?
So I would say the coolest experience that I can remember was on Jordanelle. It was a cool experience for numerous reasons, but we had the most epic sunrise. I mean, the clouds were hitting just right, and the ice was perfect. It was 6 inches of clear black ice that just went on as far as you could possibly skate. And we had just the right amount of people to show up, and that morning was awesome. It happened to also be the location of my wedding 4 months later, so it was extra special to look out. But it was, we just played for hours, and the coolest thing about it that morning was super warm, and so the ice stayed nice, but it was like t-shirt weather by 7 a.m. and we just had an epic day out there. And I'll tell you what, that ice was 6 inches thick as far as you could go, but 5 days later we got a warm spell. The ice was gone, and that to me was so crazy to look out the next weekend over open water and think we were out there having one of the most epic days of pond hockey just 5-6 days ago. So pretty cool experience, and I think that was up at several NHL rinks because Rico won some photos from somebody, and so yeah, pretty cool. I've had random people in meetings tell me they've seen pictures of us out there, so that's the photo.
Rico?
Yeah, like York said, that was a pretty special day. We did have a photo. Apple ended up purchasing it, and during that COVID year, it did make its way on six or five or six NHL rinks. It was in San Jose, St. Louis, Washington, Carolina, and there was one other one that I'm not remembering, but that was a pretty special day. I think one of my favorite days might have been the first time I think kind of solidified me and Chris's friendship was me and Ty went out there early morning. We kind of got there before sun was up. Never been to this spot. Didn't know what we were kind of getting into. Kind of eerie when you can't see what's really in front of you. So we're on the ice with our headlamps and just kind of walk in. You're looking at the ice, and York, I'll never forget, comes running down the rocks from the side of the cliff, and throws the skates on, tells us to just kind of buckle up, throw your stuff in a chair, and we just skated. It seemed like Mystery Alaska. You just skated into the unknown, and you're just like, you're not really sure what you're looking for. And then York just kind of took us to the most beautiful spot of the lake where it's like perfect black ice. And Tyrell mentioned it a little earlier. I mean, we were playing against guys that played, over in Europe. Most of these guys have played college together, and we're looking at each other like, what are we doing here? Like, no, you guys pass the puck to each other. We'll hang out back here.
Ty, what
Yeah.
about you?
So the Jordan L one was probably my favorite, but to kind of throw something else out there was one time we went to Tibble Fork, and that's the one that I was talking about where a lot of people will go and walk on it and kind of leave footprints. So if you can catch it at the right time, it's great. It's got a very, very beautiful backdrop, but a lot of times the ice is kind of rough by the time we can really get there. But there was one morning, it was actually late at night, me and Rico, that's the one where we were out middle of the night and we're walking with our headlamps and you can't really see them. We're like, ooh, that looks like open water out there. Let's be careful. And then next thing we knew, we were all the way across and we're like, oh, I guess we're skating tomorrow. So we went out and it was probably the most perfect sheet of ice I've ever skated on. It wasn't the black ice that you kind of see that like a lot of people chase because it's really pretty. But it was the smoothest ice I've ever skated on in my life. And I think there was 8 of us there maybe that day. So that was another good one. But one thing I'd like to also kind of add is I find it very, maybe not comical, but it's very endearing when you see it, is hockey players are kind of known, especially professional, for being these big, tough guys that, go out there and fight and beat each other up and hit each other. But like on that Jordan L day that Chris was talking about, I remember people laying on the ice trying to get the perfect photo of the sunrise with like their gloves in it and stuff like that, or guys that that are big and scary looking and they're like, hey, will you get a really cool photo of me with the sunrise and stuff like that. So Mother Nature turns us all into these big softies when we're out there, and it's always kind of funny to see.
Robin, you're muted.
There we go. Thank you. I do have one thing I want to bring up too. I showed one of the pictures with everyone earlier too, but there's another another picture that Tyrell sent me, and I want you guys to tell me a little bit behind this one. This looks like it's a smaller grip than the other one, but just the backdrop looks actually amazing. Tell me about like just this day you guys had here.
So I don't know if this was the same day, but I think it was the same weekend. We just wanted to get one photo where it was just all the Utah jerseys. I think they had just come out like a week or two before. So I had a couple jerseys. So we were just like, hey, put this jersey on just so that we could kind of show like, this is what Utah hockey is. I think that was like a caption that I posted on whatever social media I posted on, was like, this is Utah hockey. Like you got the Utah jerseys, but like, this is where we can go. That's like an hour drive from the Salt Lake Valley to get to this location, and it's just gorgeous.
That's an absolutely stunning photo.
A lot of the photos, by the way, I'm not able to show all of them because like whatever. Honestly, it was just mainly because Twitter is just being dumb on me. But a lot of the pictures that Tyrell sent me, by the way, absolutely amazing. I'll try to see if I can get more up. Maybe a little bit later as people were watching these episodes.
Absolutely. We'll direct people over to the at Locked On Mammoth if you want to check out some of the photos. We'll share them over there as well. Want to talk about your relationship, meaning the Pond Hockey's relationship and maybe your personal relationship to the Utah Mammoth hockey team, and what having pro hockey now means to you guys. We'll get to that here in just a sec. Back here on Locked On Mammoth, Tom Callahan, Robin Leano. It's the second installment of our Growing the Game series. This is part 2, so if you felt a little lost, go back and listen to part 1, and you'll be all caught up. But Wasatch Hockey and growing pond hockey in the state. You guys were talking about that photo during the pandemic that did really well and showed up in a lot of places, and how it just reached out there. But that was pre-NHL hockey. What was it like to get this relocated Coyotes team to come to Utah, now become the Mammoth? What has that meant to you?
I can start with that one, I guess.
Yeah, Ty, you start.
So like I mentioned in the first episode, I've been a hockey fan for 40 years. Previously, I was a Devils fan, and as soon as we found out there was a team, it was kind of like I've got to go all in. You guys have heard a lot of people in the organization say that like Utah shows up, and I just wanted to make sure that that was something that the team was given, that they felt, because it was a big change for them, that they felt welcomed and that like people were going to come in, and so when they first landed and all the kids were there, and then that little welcome to Utah event that they put on, just making sure that we were loud and proud and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, I've bought in. You can see I've got 4 jerseys hanging up behind, which I put up just for this podcast. I'm moving my office downstairs, but I wanted something in the backdrop. I actually have 16 related Utah hockey jerseys now.
Oh,
some of them are juniors. I am a hockey jersey collector. I have over 150 jerseys, so that's par for the course for me. I do have a lot. The Yamamoto one's actually a game worn one. The Gunther's one of the ones that was in the video. That's one signed too. So, but yeah, it's been great. Me and Rico got season tickets together. I made it to all 41 home games. I think Rico only missed a couple. So, just bought in from day one. I just felt like, this is the home team. Like, I randomly picked the Devils when I was a kid, and I liked, Scott Stevens and Niedermeyer and Danico, and the defensive line. I play defense, so I like that defensive core that they had, and that was my team. And then I was like, well, now we got a home team. I feel like I have to kind of give that my all. So,
Rico.
Oh gosh, where I begin? I feel like getting an NHL team was kind of something. I feel like it's a very personal thing for everyone in Utah. Um, Depending on when you got into hockey. I didn't start playing hockey till my 20s. I was actually very fortunate to watch Chris York play his college career at the University of Utah. Met Tyrell through one of my best friends, all through hockey. I am very grateful of the opportunities and the relationships and the friendships I've created through hockey. So, you would be out on these lakes, just almost kind of being a kid, like going back to that Sandlot reference. You're like, could you imagine if we had an NHL team? And then when it kind of happened, you're just like, oh, it's happening. And it seemed like it happened overnight, just for everyone else. And having season tickets with Tyrell, like it's still like Ty's probably heard it all 41 games or all. I think I missed 2, so 39 for me. 38, whatever it was, every game I just turned to him and I'm like, I can't believe we're here watching this. Like, on a given night, you have Sidney Crosby out there watching Ovechkin play, seeing Patrick Kane play. Like, you're like, I can't believe I can just do this, on a 15-minute drive to downtown, or you hop on the train. Like, that, that is very surreal. And I think it's kind of just the best thing about it, where I think it's just spreading like wildfire. Go to a game and you might not know anything, and you're leaving and you bought 2 hoodies in the team store and you're like, I can't wait for the next game.
Chris, talk to us about your experience.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how many of the weekend pond hockey activities were planned at intermissions with just the group of us getting together at Portal K or KK. I can't even remember, but we'd all congregate during intermissions and catch up and talk about the weekend plans and yeah, quite a few pond hockey games were coordinated that way. So yeah, it's kind of brought us all together, and you're just all getting together and kind of uniting on that front, and it's been pretty special.
Now, I know that hockey has a long-rooted history in Utah already. I mean, there's professional hockey's been around for a while. The Grizzlies have been around. Unfortunately, they're going to be leaving pretty soon. But but what have you seen as an impact? Like, I mean, you kind of already mentioned it a little bit way earlier, but let's kind of readdress this a little bit. Is since the Mammoth have come in Utah, and the NHL has really been come to Utah. Has that seen a resurgence of how many people are interested in playing pond hockey out there? Yeah, you get more people like a significant bump in people reaching out to you. What are we seeing?
I feel like it's kind of both. You're definitely seeing a resurgence of people getting interested in hockey throughout the state. Utah Mammoth is doing a very good job of, diving into the youth and making it accessible for kids to just even explore it. I think they just wrapped up their weekly, like, kind of little tour they did where they started in Logan, went down to Cottonwood Heights, Provo, St. George, and just kind of expanding the growth of the game. So I think you've kind of get a mix of a lot of people are getting interested in playing hockey and joining hockey, but since it's kind of been that like weird summer, I think it's kind of what you've seen. If you've seen pond hockey, I think it sparked that interest, but maybe not everyone is kind of shifted in that direction or started exploring that option.
I think we'll start to see a boost moving forward. I think a lot of people, they're just getting into it. So there's so much hockey out there that like pond hockey's kind of on the fringe right now, but now they're like this next season, maybe they'll be interested. We've got, you guys have probably seen him, the broccoli Brandon that wears the broccoli head. He actually sat by us for a lot of games. We had season tickets next to each other, so we've become friends. I know he played before and he started playing again. We've got another buddy that knows a bunch of us and he just started playing. So we're getting a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm in my learn to skate or I'm in my learn to play. I'm actually in a Twitter group where a lot of people are chatting about that, and they're doing like a little rookie thing right now. And they're like, oh yeah, we play you tonight and stuff like that. So it's definitely grown. I think the pond hockey aspect will kind of come a little bit after that. I think most people are just worried about like one, understanding the game if they're brand new to it, kind of picking up on the nuances and what makes hockey special and how fast it is. And then you're going to see that push of people, like, even if they are older, they're going to say, hey, I want to play. I want to go learn to skate. Even if they're not going to play in like a super competitive rec league, they might be in a rookie league. They're going to do that. And then I think pond hockey is like, once they're comfortable on the ice, I think a lot more people are going to be like, hey, like, how do I get involved in that?
Makes sense.
Go ahead,
So
Rob.
I guess as a follow up, kind of both to what you guys were saying, and this is something that I guess this is why we do this show, and it's a partial, I guess, somewhat two-parter of a question. Either you guys can chime in on this, but tell me what A, growing the game means to you, but also B, making hockey accessible to everybody.
Ooh, I feel like that's the hardest question that everyone faces in every market, right? Where a lot of the conversation is just making it accessible. We all know hockey is kind of on the pricier side of things. So, most families, if you do have a child or, a teenager getting into it, maybe it's not cost effective. So I think having that help of an NHL team kind of grows that aspect of having more opportunities, whether it's, the organization donating gear to, youth programs and just getting people hooked into it to a point where, they can, I feel like as you get older, your gear lasts a little longer because you're not continuously growing. So once you can kind of get to that stage, I think the game grows. And then, just even on top of that, we have the Olympics coming up here in the next, 6, 7 years. You're going to have an even bigger resurgence seeing that and being able to see, just, the great teams of the nations playing against each other. So I think that's the next step in it.
Yeah, and I think a couple of the youth programs, they do like trade in things where you can get skates and you kind of trade it in, you get like your next set of skates. Because like Rico said, obviously as kids are growing much quicker, they're going to grow out of their skates every year, and that's a lot to buy into. Buying a new pair of skates every year, every other year. So there are some places. I think Cottonwood Hockey Shop, which is kind of one of our local hockey shops, I think they do something like that. They might do a buy-in. I'm not positive, but I think I heard that. But I think, out of the Oval, where me and Rico have a couple teams out at the Oval that we play at, where the team was practicing. And I think they have something like that. I've seen they have a big storage unit with that. And me and Rico met a kid one time and we're like, oh, what men's league team do you play on? He's like, oh, I'm only 15, but he was just a monster. He was gigantic. I think he had like, what was it, Rico, like size 16 skates or something like that. Which
I think I heard in the grapevine you had to find a special place in Canada to order skates from because they're the only company that can make him big enough for his feet, and he was like 15.
Yeah, and so, but we, we had people helping him to do that, so it's like just things like that. The Mammoth did a program where if you signed up, I think they gave all their gear for free. They got to do a sizing. I think Kelly actually talked about that in the first episode where they got to kind of go and try on all the gear and stuff like that, which definitely helps. If you can get that knockdown just to even see if you like playing hockey, so you're not, $1,000 in before you decide, this isn't really for me. Those things will help grow the game immensely.
The only thing I'm thinking about is that if that kid is that big, that fits the Bill Armstrong mold, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Sign him up.
Big. He was big. He's a big kid.
That's amazing. I love it. Sign him up. Let's put him out there in camp. See what happens. Speaking of the Mammoth, though, guys, didn't you have an experience? And I know maybe it's not been completed yet or produced, but the Mammoth actually did come out to check out what you were doing with the pond hockey side.
Yeah, so there's kind of two things that they did. One, it was an away game. I don't remember who they were playing, but they did a segment during one of the intermissions that kind of showed some of the videos that we had, that kind of featured us and stuff like that, and showed some pictures. It was pretty cool. That same picture that we showed earlier on with just all the Utah hockey jerseys and stuff like that, they showed that. And but there was the day, that kind of same area where they came. Rico got hooked up with them somehow. I don't remember who set it up, but I'll let Rico fill that in. But they came out, they did an interview. They interviewed Rico, it seemed like, for half an hour. They had a cameraman. He was out there filming, people playing and kind of filming the ice and the scenery and stuff like that. We haven't seen anything come from that, though. It might be one of those fresh ice things that they were doing. We kind of thought maybe that would happen, but we'll see.
Well, you got to have the mayor on, Rico. I've been told you've been referred to as the mayor.
It is true. Can't go anywhere with me without running into someone I might know or knows me. But yeah, that opportunity is actually a good friend of ours. Her name's Lauren Hedwood. She's currently working with Utah Grizzlies and I believe Salt Lake Bees this summer. Fantastic photographer, but she posted a few photos from one of the weekends that we went up, and I think one of the photographers or videographers that she worked for, when they got to do that first training camp up in Park City, he seen the photos and was like, "Hey, I need to be a part of this. Like, how can we go?" And that's how it kind of got sent up. And it was beautiful. I mean, we had a bunch of people up there, and I mean, regardless of if they came up and filmed, we were gonna skate, and I mean, we're just kids on Christmas at that point. And then once they showed up, yeah, they did a few interviews and got what footage they need. But like Ty said, we haven't seen anything come from it, but maybe it's something in the pipeline for them.
Also, Mammoth, if you're listening, I think it's a missed opportunity if you don't invite Chris York to join your shovel team. I mean, this guy's got the credentials to be the prime shoveler. You should be leading in a different color jacket than all of the other shovel folks that are out there, but we'll get you out there, Chris.
I'd hate to do that because I might just replace the whole team. So I wouldn't want to do that to all those folks.
You'd be that good.
It's just one giant shovel, and Chris has got it.
I actually do have a big shovel that I got for clearing. It's more of a plow, a pusher, but it's called the man plow, and it's like 4 feet wide, so you can just kind of push a big wide area.
This is amazing. All these things that, like, there's so many more questions we could ask. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
We've been known to take a snowblower out there when it's deep too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do what you got to do to get to the good ice.
I guess that's insane. So I mean, your drive, you're up early, your drives to get you out there. I mean, I imagine this takes a lot of planning and getting things together ahead of time. So, fellas, if there's folks out there who are listening who either want to come out and watch, want to be a part of this, and maybe drop in and play, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Probably Wasatch Hockey. The Instagram's probably the best. Yeah, we send out a bat signal. You would think there's a lot of planning into it. It is very last minute. There is times where, I mean, we all work jobs throughout the week, and it's like, hey, heard this body of water is freezing. Like, has anyone had eyes on it? One of us will go after work, depending on where it's at, verify, and then it's like you might be sending a text out 7-8 o'clock at night, and it's like, hey, this is go time. So it's very almost last minute. So it's very kind of almost spontaneous. You would think we had a little more time, but it is very spontaneous.
Okay, so the Instagram, what is the Instagram handle? Is it just at Wasatch Hockey?
Yes, just at Wasatch Hockey. There is a Facebook group that is under, I believe it's Utah Pond Hockey. I just don't think it gets checked enough, especially where it's like, hey, I'm in town, I want to play tomorrow. Instagram's usually going to be the best place.
Okay, so there you go. Follow them on the Instagram, and that's where you get all those amazing photos as well. You can jump in there. Ty, I'm going to go ahead. I see you have your handle on there at 2for Tusking. Is that a Twitter handle?
It is. I actually have two. I had my old one, which Robin was communicating with me to, is Seraphine. I've had that one forever, since like 2012. I don't know, forever. But after we announced the name, the new Mammoth, I decided I'd have a Mammoth related one. So I kind of like the 2for Tusking, kind of like a 2 for instigating or 2 for slashing or whatever. So 2for Tusking, that's the new one.
Nice. All right. And Chris, where can we track your exploits?
Oh no, maybe we lost York.
Oh no, we're just into the still
He's off
phase.
the grid.
Yeah, it's all right. That's okay. So, well, I mean, it's been great having you guys
Sorry,
on.
I'm old school. You can
go
reach
ahead.
me via carrier pigeon.
Okay, nice, nice. I like that. Well,
my iPhone is overheating on me. I guess it failed me today.
that's all right. Things definitely happen.
Send me a
That's for
carrier
sure.
pigeon. I'll get it.
Okay.
Drop you a new phone. So, all right. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to come and to talk to us, because I'm sure people have a lot more questions than we had time to get to. And I mean, it took 2 episodes and there's still a lot left out there. So we appreciate you joining us as well. Robin, where can folks follow us on social?
Yeah, you can follow us just about everywhere on social media, primarily active over on Twitter at Locked On Mammoth. That's at Locked On Mammoth. You can find me personally as well over there at Robin, and that's with Y _LEANO.
You can find me on Blue Sky at Tom Talks and on Twitter at Callahan on Air. And for the second consecutive show, the longest wrap up I've ever had to do, for Ty, for Rico, for Chris, for Robin, I'm Tom. Thanks for being a part of Locked On Mammoth.